Welcome everybody, it is the Gary Neville brackets Jamie Carragher podcast from Old Trafford this evening off the back of a pretty dramatic game. There have been a few down the years between Manchester United and Liverpool. United have won it 3-2. Gary, what's your takeaway?
Important to win. I think that there would have been an awful feeling at the end of the game. Obviously, the way in which the first half went, very rarely do you see in any Manchester United-Liverpool game a Manchester United team look so comfortable. I can count on one hand the amount of times in my whole career, my whole life, that I've seen Manchester United look like they are so dominant. And I actually felt before the game, Peter, when the teams were announced, I thought, really expectant, got a big chance here today. We've actually got a better team than they have out at this moment in time. Obviously, they've got some injuries. So I just felt they didn't have the firepower, they didn't have a centre forward. We had all our best four players in attack on the pitch. But then, I mean, the madness of that second half where, just mistakes, really poor errors. And then I think when you make a mistake in a football match, obviously then you can basically start to unravel, and that's what Manchester United did for 20 minutes. They just lost their discipline. They were all over the place. And Liverpool got back into it, and you've got to give them credit for that. But then in the end, I think just Manchester United deserved it overall. I think the third goal, obviously, that they got was a massive goal for Kobbie Mainoo, but also I think just for Michael Carrick to get over the line in this game, because it would have been, Manchester United have got a record going back to 1984, which he showed us, where they've never lost a match having been up at half time, and he wouldn't have wanted to lose that record today.
No. Jamie, you brushed me aside at the start of the game when I suggested that Liverpool had a problem with personnel not playing, with the stars not involved. Are you able to use that as some sort of protection against the disappointment you're clearly feeling?
Yeah, slightly. I think when the team sheets do come out, and more about, the goalkeeper Liverpool had, really more than anything, that you think you never accept a loss, but you're going into the game thinking it's going to be tough here. We're at Old Trafford, Manchester United are playing well, Liverpool aren't playing well on the road, and when you look at the actual team and what Liverpool have got on the bench, you think it's going to be difficult to get something from the game. So, listen, I feel a lot better in that defeat that way than what I feared what it could be at half-time, where it was 3 or 4-0. Really, and as Gary said, that the second half just unravels. But the worry for me was what we saw first half, and I'm not using the excuse of injuries. The reason being is I feel like I've seen that first half so often this season in games where I don't think any football supporter or any player ever wants their team to be described as weak. And when I played, we were criticised on the flip side for that, and say we probably lacked a little bit of class or a little bit of creativity. I'd much rather not win that way than not win that way. And there's nothing better than coming up against those type of teams. When we've played in games, you think, they like to keep the ball. They don't really do not, but my God, you can hurt them on the counter-attack. And that's what Liverpool are this season. And that's the big worry for supporters. And I know people outside Liverpool say, how can they be questioning a manager who won the league last year? I think it's just the feeling that the more Arne Slot's got his fingerprints on the team, the more seeing his team. And what we've seen this season, we don't really like. And it's not Liverpool supporters thinking, we're definitely going to win the league. But it's putting up a fight in games a little bit more. Now, you can say that happened in the second half, but sometimes a goal can change a game. And it happens. Man United a bit all over the place, but it's more the performances, and I keep going back to that, what we're seeing. You can lose at Man United. The best Liverpool teams lose at Man United. We haven't got a great record here, so to lose 3-2 with the team Liverpool had is not the end of the world. But it's what you saw first half is worrying.
It's interesting. Towards the end of last season, I was poking a little bit, I think it was actually on the podcast, Cara, around Liverpool's recruitment department, rightly so, been lauded for a number of years. And I said, how can they be lauded if they've let the contracts of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mo Salah and Van Dijk run down to nothing, and obviously Diaz with a year to go. And I wasn't, to be fair, with any surety saying that it's at that moment in time that they'd sort of messed up or anything, because they won the league last season. But I think there will be question marks now about. It's the first time I've watched Liverpool this season where I've actually thought, looking at the bench and looking on the pitch, there's not much there.
And in fairness, Gary, that's not really Liverpool's bench.
No, look, we have to mention, obviously, the fact that Ekitike, Isak,
Salah.
And Salah are not playing. That is them three massive players. But just generally, just throughout the actual team, and sort of like the backup at centre half, the backup at full backs, the the midfield all of a sudden looks a little bit slow, and you're just thinking to yourself, it's a glass half empty, glass half full conversation, and to be fair, you can have that conversation at any point after a defeat. But it was the first time today I looked at Liverpool's team and thought, it does look quite shallow, that squad. And then they're obviously going to lose Mo Salah in the summer, and obviously, they're going to have to obviously do a little bit of a rebuild. But yeah, I just think the Liverpool fans may be watching that game today, and I haven't sensed that, I haven't been able to buy into the desperation that they've had and this sort of exacerbation in the last 2 or 3 months about the manager, about the football. But for the first time today in that first half, I thought, that does look vulnerable, and the squad and the bench looks weak. And I know they've got 3 players out, but it all of a sudden didn't look like a team that was anywhere near the title from a team that actually won the title. So yeah, just a comment really that there's obviously a bit of a job to do there in terms of obviously getting the recruitment right again in the summer.
But that's what I'm saying. You can look at things half empty or glass half full. I mean, you were talking about United being a year away from the title. I saw this morning when I woke up. I mean, that is a glass half full. Wow.
No, I didn't say
no,
that.
No, you did. It was on the overlap.
I said in
a year or two, you could win the title.
I said in the next couple of years, the title could be up for grabs.
That is a glass half full.
In the next couple
Slam on.
Hang on. If the next couple of years the title could be up for grabs, I'm really relaxed.
You haven't even got a manager.
In the next couple of years, Peter, the title could be up for grabs. And we know why. If City were to obviously be found guilty of some of their charges and they were to be deducted points, or if Pep was to leave. No, Liverpool aren't quite right. Chelsea aren't quite right. Tottenham aren't quite right. Newcastle aren't quite right. So my point is, Manchester United, if they get it right in the recruitment, and they've not done it.
But what about the other 5 teams you just mentioned getting it right?
But at the moment, Manchester United are ahead of those teams. They're ahead of those teams.
No, deadly serious, right?
They're ahead of those teams.
I know. Are you getting... No, I'm being serious
now.
Are you getting fooled by the fact that you've had no European football, you've got nowhere in cup competition?
No.
You're not getting fooled by this, are you?
No, I'm not. And today, to be fair, I think Michael Carragher will come off that pitch today thinking to himself, that does really highlight the problems we've got in central midfield and at centre-back. So I don't think that at all. But whoever gets the best 3... It's been like this for a few years. Whoever gets the best 3 or 4 players in the next sort of window, and United are in the Champions League now, which gives them a problem of more fixtures, but it gives them an attraction of actually being able to attract more players. And by the way, this is a big club that will win the league again in your lifetime, my friend. You will watch that, and I'll enjoy it.
Hopefully I've got a long way to go.
But just generally, and look, I'm not getting carried away after today because I thought it was a really poor second half from Manchester United. For half an hour, they lost their discipline, they made mistakes, they lost their concentration. They didn't deal with one-on-one situations very well. They actually started to give free kicks away. So it was a real difficult second half to watch for half an hour. But I'm just saying that generally, when I looked at Liverpool's team in the first half, it's the first time. I have been quite positive about Liverpool, and to be fair about Arne staying, I still think that should happen. And I've not seen what would be this drab football that Liverpool fans describe to me, but they watch the team every single week, and he watches his team every single week. But today in the first half, I thought, actually, that was a little bit desperate, that performance. Manchester United were very good, but it was a desperate performance in the first half.
I mean, big picture, someone said to me this morning, it feels like the first game of next season, if you know what I mean, given that they will both be in the top 5. Liverpool, I'm sure, will pick up the points they need to do. And there's, I suppose, this everlasting conversation, Manchester United against Liverpool, who's better placed, and the fact that Manchester United have 20-odd points more than they had this time last year, and Liverpool have 20-odd points fewer, and there's been this great switch. And even the conversation around, a combined 11, who would get in whose team and so on. And I just wonder whether...
I don't know how much money both these clubs have got for the summer. I couldn't tell you how much Liverpool have got, and I couldn't tell you how much Manchester United have got to go and spend. That's the interesting thing. They probably need another couple of 150, 200 million each, I would imagine.
And all your joshing aside, I just wonder who, if it was the first day of next season, who's better placed?
I still think Liverpool are better placed, and the reason I would say is I think that's probably Manchester United's best team out there today. Liverpool are probably, I would say, 3 or 4 short there. They have got players who have won before. In terms of you talking about the biggest trophies, I don't think either team will be in terms of the title next season. Even for Liverpool, I still think still would be Arsenal, or Manchester City. But Liverpool have got to sign a replacement for Mo Salah. They've got to buy a central midfield player. McAllister's in there, and for me, they have to find a right back. Now they've got a young centre back who they brought in January. So the situation they have a centre back all season is not there because Leone and Xhaka, they're your two centre-backs. They're back for next season. So they've got to... And then you're thinking, OK, the players they've signed this summer, will they be better placed next summer? But you know what?
They need a central midfield player.
I've just said that.
What do you say?
I've just said they need a central midfield player instead
They need
of
a left
McAllister.
back.
Well, they're bringing Tsimikas back from Roma.
Right,
They've got
okay.
Carragher there.
Okay.
If you want to ask any more questions, I've got the answers for you, because you hardly ever watch Liverpool.
I watch Liverpool a lot. I think they need a left back.
OK, well, they've bought Carragher, they're not going to get a new left-back. They just spent 30-40 million on. But the point I'm trying to make, I still think Liverpool are a better place right now, for the reasons I've just mentioned. Manchester United, for me, and it's not a Manchester United-Liverpool thing, there's a false economy at the moment. Manchester United, when they haven't played any European football, they went out in the first round of both cup competitions. Now, that can fool you a little. I don't think Manchester United will finish third this season. I don't for 1 minute believe Manchester United are the third best team in the Premier League. Now,
Who are?
well, I think Liverpool would be if Manchester United would have been in Europe
Manchester
this
United beat
season.
them twice.
No, I know, but if they were in Europe this season and you'd have gone decent in cup competitions like what normally happens, you'd have had more injuries, you wouldn't have been able to see what you're seeing right now. Now, do you believe that Manchester United are really close or almost the next challengers?
I think Manchester United at the moment, to be fair, are the equal of Liverpool when I see the best teams on the pitch. Are the equal of them at the moment. I think they are at the moment. I think they're the equal of Liverpool. Well, they beat them twice this season. They're in third. I get the argument around the cup competitions and the extra fixtures, and it's valid. But I don't think Liverpool this season have proven that they are better than Manchester United. I don't think they have. They've lost, lost 19 football matches.
I totally agree with you. And Liverpool have been awful this season. We're talking about questioning the manager's job. As you said, they lost 19 games. If they'd have won this game today in the last 20 minutes, they'd been level on points with Man United. They don't play European football. It's not a dig at United. It's just a fact that next season will be completely different. Whether Carrick's in charge, whoever's in charge, the landscape will be completely different from Manchester United playing European football, playing 3 games a week. They haven't had that all season.
I agree with you, but that's where the 3 or 4 or 5 players that they add this summer are critical. They've got to make sure they recruit well.
Well, that's the same argument for everybody else. But I think Liverpool right now are probably in a better position in terms of the squad if everybody's fully fit and they've had players who've been there before.
Liverpool are the only team that can lose twice against Manchester United, be behind them in the league by 6 points, but still be better than Manchester United. It's unbelievable, isn't it? You know what I mean? We're still not better than them. It's like...
Let me ask you, in broad terms, about them both. Going into this game, everybody was saying this is big for the two bosses. So where are they at off the back of what we've just seen?
I think, look, Michael Carragher will be very happy tonight, but I think he'll be really disappointed deep down knowing how he thinks, and he'll have that good mentality that he's not going to win that game 3 and 4-0. I genuinely believe that the way in which the teams were set up before the game and the way in which they've started the first half, I thought with 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go in the first half, they should have gone and killed that game and put Liverpool to sleep. Because generally, Liverpool were nowhere near it in this football match. They had some shots from around 22, 23 yards at the edge of the box, which were a little bit dangerous because obviously Liverpool had like 4 players in there versus United's 2 at times, when United didn't quite get the 2 centre-forwards back to connect. But I think he'll be a little bit disappointed that basically, but he's won the game, and that'll be the most important thing. But I don't think he will be fooled, picking up on Carragher's point on a serious note, I don't think he will be fooled by the fact of some of what he saw in that second half. He'll know he'll need to make sure that he rebuilds that midfield and that defence. Because if you're going to play 4-4-2, which is I am massively in favour of Manchester United doing if they can do it, you have to have 2 very special players in there, and you have to have back players, centre-backs who can play one-on-one, and full-backs who, to be fair, can get back quickly and make sure. So you're asking a lot.
So how many players that they need then?
Pardon?
How many players is that they need?
I think Manchester United need a left-back for next season because Luke Shaw, to be fair, has played every game this season, and I think he may struggle. They need a centre-back, 100%, and they need 2 midfield players. They're the 4 priorities right now. They need a left-back, a centre-back, and they need 2 central midfield players. They're the players I would add to this squad. Now, look, if you could then maybe trade Mount for someone else who maybe can play in and out and be a bit more flexible across that midfield and forward line, I'd say let's go for a 5th. But if you can't, I would say they're the 4. 2 midfield players, a left-back and a centre-back. And they've got to be top-notch, those 4 players. That's the real priority right now.
Okay. I've been told to keep this quite short because you guys are needed in the studio. So,
this is good fun. You don't keep it short when Liverpool wins 7-0, Peter. Or when, you know what I mean? It goes on for about 4 days, the podcast, you know what I mean?
Listen, I work to instructions, Gary. I'm not a renegade like you. So I just think we ought to tee up Monday Night Football in the context of what we saw from Arsenal last night. What did we see from Arsenal last night?
They were fantastic. I think it's the best they've looked. I think I was going back through the fixtures actually. I think probably since they played Spurs away and they won 4-1. They looked really good. I think they were helped a little bit, weren't they, by Fulham? I think there was a virus going through the camp, but yet they looked energetic. I mean, tomorrow on the show, we'll obviously have a good look. We've got Thierry Henry on the show, so we'll have a real good look at Arsenal. But it was the goals. Obviously, was a big help in terms of goals scored, goal difference. But just the way they looked, that energy, didn't look fatigued, didn't look tired or nervous. But again, who knows if that was down to how poor Fulham were in the first half. We'll see that in these coming weeks. But it's certainly put a little bit now on Manchester City. They've got a tough game going to Everton. It won't be easy. You'd expect them to win, but it's not just about winning now. It's even about getting goals as well. So I'm sure that's going to come into the equation between now and the end of the season.
Do you think they'll win the second leg of the Champions League game, Carragher?
Yeah, I think they'll get through. I think they're a better team than Atletico Madrid. I don't think Madrid are that good, if I'm being totally honest. I think even in the first leg, there was a 20-minute spell in the second half where I decided that it looked like Arsenal for me were in big control of the game. I think the big thing Arsenal have done in the last couple of games that I'm going to look at tomorrow is the deployment of Rice going a little bit deeper. I think that's had a big impact. I thought he played well midweek in Europe away from home, showed real authority. I thought he was excellent in the first half against Fulham as well. I've been worried about the midfield. I think we've highlighted that a lot on Monday Night Football of like Zubimendi and Rice and how they're finding it tough. And there's just been a little change there in position in Madrid and personnel against Fulham with the young lad coming in, Mars Lewis-Skelly. So maybe something we'll analyse.
I think the confidence from yesterday, obviously Fulham didn't play well, but I think to go to Madrid and play as well as they did and do what they did, that would have given them, I think, big confidence to come back. Because there was an element of you thinking them going there, thinking they could get, I wouldn't say they was going to get done over, but Simeone can almost like suffocate you and make it horrible for you and sort of go and get a 2-0 win. Get a goal in the first half, be horrible, and then get an horrible late. There's an element of thinking they were going to get played a little bit or they were going to be a little bit immature there. That was my fear going into that game. Would they be immature in that stadium? And they weren't. They really stood up in that stadium. And then Saka coming back as well, obviously, it was a massive thing. So I think that takes them into a good place.
Can I just ask you very quickly, because I'm fascinated by this, when do players start in a situation like this, start thinking really about goal difference? I remember that there was the Brendan Rodgers team, wasn't there, in that game at Crystal Palace when they were 3-0 up and all that, and there was the accusation they went chasing the goals. Well, I don't know if it's true or not. No, but
Liverpool had to because of the situation. It wasn't what that meant Liverpool doing that. It meant, I think it was something to do with Man City's next game, would make them have to win rather than draw. So they did have to go for the goals, to be honest, in that situation. But what I would say is it was interesting what Mikel Arteta did at half-time, because that was looking at half-time like it could be a 5 or 6-0 job. And if that would have been the case, I'm not sure City would have ever been able to get that back. They'd have had to almost hope Arsenal draw a game to win the league. And he took Saka off, thinking about midweek. And listen, he's just come back from injury. They can't afford him to be injured. But it was just interesting because I think Man City, if you'd have said to them at half-time, this game's going to finish 3-0, they'd have been absolutely over the moon because, as I said, in that first half, it looked like it could be 5 or 6, and I think that would have been a mighty sort of big blow for City and something I don't think they've been able to get back.
That's why I asked the question, Gary, because I think that's a couple of Monday nights' time, and there's bound to be a narrative around that about Arsenal hitting them for 9, or whatever, which is disrespectful to Burnley, and I apologise, but you know what I mean.
I was watching the game last night, and I was a little bit disappointed is the wrong word, but Mikel Arteta, maybe at the end of the game, he'll be happy with the win. Of course he will. But I think there'll be an element of him thinking, we should have gone and scored an extra couple. Will we regret that? That will start to creep in, but he can't let it creep into his language to the players that much. But he has to remind them, saying things like, he won't be saying to them, improve your goal difference. He'll be saying to them, take your chances, be clinical, be ruthless. He'll be giving them those sorts of messages, I would imagine. And don't sit back. Make sure you carry on, keep on going, you know what I mean? Almost, so sometimes at 3-0 earlier in the season, you can relax and just manage a second half. They can't afford to do that. They've got to keep going. Pep wins by any tactic, doesn't he? By any way. So you have to think that Pep's going to win by goal difference, and we can't be done that way. You know what I mean? It's that type of thing, really.
So just finally, in that context and all that context, last question: tomorrow's game, Everton-Manchester City.
I think City win. Look, it'd be absolutely stunning if City were to drop points on a Monday night tomorrow night at Everton. It'd be stunning. I don't think it'll happen, I don't think it'll happen. Do you?
No, I think City would win. Whether they'll get a few goals, obviously they're a tough nut to crack, with any David Moyes' team. But I was just wondering, going into the game, it's a while since City have played, because he rested a lot of players, didn't he, in the FA Cup semi-final. Now, is that a good thing at this stage of the season? Do you lose a little bit of rhythm? I don't know. We'll probably talk about that as the game tomorrow. But, will we see Manchester City at their absolute best? Because, as I said, a lot of those players have, gone a while without a game.
You just sometimes need something. If you're Arsenal, you need something. Is it a red card? Is it you're something that sort of like just completely blows a game up from nowhere? And actually, the game I think it's a massive week, because I think the game that Arsenal are most likely to drop points in. I'm doing the game next Sunday. You'll be doing it as well, I'm sure. That's the game I fear most. West Ham.
Ticklish one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a horrible. I mean, I've got my own personal experience down at West Ham near the end of the season. So
Ludek McCloskey.
Yeah, I just think West Ham is a something, and they're fighting for their lives. They need points. So I think Arsenal's game next Sunday, they've just got to make sure they concentrate on that, and just almost in some ways somehow pray that City can drop points tomorrow night. But I think it'll need a massive event of some kind for it to happen, like a peculiar happening, an early sending off or something of that ilk.
Lovely stuff. Lovely that you two are still speaking. Just.
We've still got the studio to go to.
Yeah, good luck with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done, Peter.